Okay, so I'm thinking that we should group the students and pull the students that are either counting what's in each group or isolating what's in, breaking up what's in each group, because you can see that there are two groups of students, ones that can break up the groups and put them together, but then there's some that are going inside each group. So if you look at student one, Sally, um, he hasn't quickly identified that it's 8 in each. It seems to be that she's counting and then she's adding 8, 8, 8, 8, 8 instead of grouping that in larger groups.
I agree with that. Yeah, so she wrote an addition piece, but it doesn't seem like that's really what she used. Really, it just seemed like she just counted them all. Maybe the first one she didn't count, but the rest of them were.
Correct. And I think Troy did something similar, except see how he breaks up those three, the inside of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be much more efficient for him to just identify 8.
Mm-hmm.
So Paris, Sally, and Troy in one group?
I actually think Troy, what I like about Troy, and I think I want the students to be able to break down a number. So I see him being able to break down that 8, but I think you're right, he probably didn't do it as efficiently as he could have. But if he had maybe done a 5 and 3, I could work with that a little bit more. But I see your point, and you're right, it maybe he would go in that group, but I'm not opposed to them breaking it down within the group, within the set.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I think that's I just want him to be able to see that from the broader scope. So if he's doing 3s, that's fine, but he could have put 3 groups of 8 together. See that, and that's still using his 3s.
Right.
He still has that ability. I'm just thinking we can push him further. And if he's in the small group, he can help the student see that too, because he has that ability already. We just need to kind of have him zoom out a little bit. If that makes sense. And
so Jessica, you said something about Paris. What were you thinking about Paris?
Well,
I think it's,
yeah,
it appears that she's counting.
Yeah, they counted.
Doing multiplication. And I think that's where it seemed like she was very similar to, was it Elena that was at the very beginning that just seemed to count them all, like 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, as opposed to the rest of them who are throwing in some sort of multiplication equation in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those 3 understand that it's multiplication, but I don't think they have it grouped yet. So they're just doing it the long way. They're individually counting.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we can make them more efficient in what they're doing. Because even Jake also kind of did the same thing. It looks like he's counting everything on the left, but he knows to double that and go to the right. So he might benefit too in being able to see the multiplication just a little bit sooner from being in the group too. He's kind of the in-betweener.
So now that you've kind of broken down, let's go ahead and make some decisions. We're going to pull our first group. What students would you like to put together?
I think we've decided on Sally, Paris, and Troy for that group that we've been talking about.
Okay, so we're going to go with Sally. We're going to go with Paris. And we're going to go with Troy. Now, tell me about that group of students, Sally, Paris, and Troy. What would you focus on in that guided math group? And what would be kind of your plan of action to get them? Are we looking for building schema? Are we trying to move their thinking forward? Are we seeing misconceptions? What would be the underlying purpose of your group with those 3 students?
So we would want them, as the underlying would be for them to develop the schema to create bigger groups of a number. So identifying the groups of 8 immediately, and then saying, well, I can do 3 groups of 8. That's 3 times 8. I can even do that 2 times and then add the other 8. That's how I would do it. I don't know if anybody has other ideas.
Yeah. Anybody else have any others, or you guys agree with that?
Agree.
I agree with what she said. At first I was thinking maybe it would be move student thinking forward, because we want to take them from this idea of counting one by one into a more sophisticated idea. But I think there really is some schema to build first. So I actually agree with Rosa.
Nice. So we actually could kind of be doing both in the same group, right?